The cave I fear to enter holds the treasure I seek. I heard this a week ago and it really made me think about many things that I'd like to share with you tonight. I thought that was a very powerful statement, and it made me think about things in our life that we want, but we either don't take action on, we give up, or they just continue to be a dream that eventually ends up dying. What do we really mean by this? I was actually doing some sales coaching today, and I was talking to somebody about a sales opportunity we call deals in sales world that is stuck. And it was funny because we were reading through the diagnosis of what a stuck deal means, and it means many things. One of them means you're having the same conversations, there's really no direction, there is no vision, there's no excitement. It's just kind of this deadness that's happening. So when I thought about that saying I just shared with you, the cave we fear to enter holds the treasure we seek. Let's talk about this a minute. I drew this out because I think we can relate to ways that we know we are stuck. It usually comes to some emotions we're feeling. Number one, we're bored, we feel stuck, and we feel obligation. These are all clues that we are stuck in what I'm going to call, not the comfort zone, the complacency zone. We think that it's better just to stay over here because it's safe over here. But what we really want is we want to get over to the other side of what we want. So what is it that we want? Maybe it's a new job. Maybe it's a new relationship. Maybe it's writing a book. Maybe it's quitting some habit that we're doing that we know is not serving us at all. Whatever the thing is we want over here, there's something in the way of that. I'm going to call this the terror barrier. Yes, we know it's a terror barrier because we continue to think about going over to the other side, but once we start thinking about it too much, we do a little bit of a U-turn and we end up coming back to being stuck again. Now, in my experience, it takes some things to get us over to the other side to what we want. But what is on the other side? It's everything opposite of what we see over here. So we have excitement versus boredom. We have moving forward and growing versus being stuck. And then instead of having obligation, we have choice and freedom. That's what we really want over here. But how do I get over to that other side, you're asking yourself? There's a few things I'd like to share with you, ideas. How do I get from this complacency zone over to the new world, the new me, the new what I want, the new goal, the new dream, the happiness, the joy, the passion, everything I want that's over here? Well, it's going to require us to break through this terror barrier right here in the center. Now, I can relate to this because there have been many times in my life that I have had to break through that terror barrier. And I'll tell you, it happens in two ways. Number one, it happens when we make a decision. And number two, it happens when we hit emotional threshold. Now, I've had this happen to me a couple times in my life. The first one is decision. At one time in my life, I was working for a company and I was an in-house sales trainer. And I remember I had a big dream. I didn't tell anybody what my dream was. My dream was to be an independent speaker, author, trainer, consultant. But there was this terror barrier in the center of what's it going to be like not to get a solid paycheck? What's it going to be like to pay my own benefits? What if I fail? All of that kept me over on this side, and I was stuck, I was bored, I was angry, I was frustrated, and I was obligated. I felt like I had to stay at the place I was at. But you know what ended up happening? Something good happened, and this is what is called emotional threshold. I actually got in a disagreement with my boss about something, and it put me over the edge. All that frustration and boredom and stuckness I was feeling, I just exploded. And I finally made the decision. I was like that bird on the branch and someone cut that branch off, that it was time to get over to this other side. So what did I do? And this is what I invite you to do. I realized I had to make a choice. Am I going to stay over here or am I not? And my decision at that point was I'm not. What I invite you to do if you want to make a change in your life, whether it's leave a relationship, start a relationship, start a new job, quit doing a habit that's keeping you stuck. Whatever it is, set a date. When I wrote my books, both of my books, I set a solid date of when I was going to have that book done. When I quit my job, I set a solid date of when I was going to quit that job. And I actually quit that job within 21 days of that date. But if we don't set a date, it's not real. The other thing that's really awesome about emotional threshold is that it gets us to change on the dime. One other example I'll share in my life, believe it or not, I used to smoke cigarettes and I could not quit. I think I probably tried to quit 7 or 8 times, as a matter of fact. And then one night I was at a party, I'd had a little bit too much to drink, I was having that cigarette, and I remember all of a sudden the room was spinning and I was feeling really out of sorts. That was my emotional threshold. When I got myself to this other side of I'm done, I will never do that again, I felt terrible, I felt awful. So it does take a big emotional shift to get over here. But what if you're saying to me right now, you know what, I don't want to wait till I have to make a shift. I just want to get this change in my life. I want to make it happen. Well, the first thing is to recognize right now that you are intentionally keeping yourself stuck right now. What can you do to get out of that? As I said, the first tip is to set a date for the change. Number 2, get an accountability partner or a buddy or a coach. I had a coach at that time in my life. My coach and I agreed that I was going to leave this job by this date and go out on my own. And she held me to it. I mean, it was written down. It was solid. It was going to happen. It wasn't just some pipe dream anymore. The other thing I did is I put together a plan. What's it going to look like? What am I going to do? How is it going to look? I got involved in National Speakers Association. I did Speakers Academy. I learned what do you got to do to be successful as a speaker, entrepreneur, coach. I learned how to be a lot of different things, but I put a plan together to get me over to the other side. Last but not least, just remember this last concept. If you're feeling bored, if you're feeling stuck, if you're feeling a sense of obligation, chances are, number 1, you're over on the side you don't want to be on, but number 2, realize it is going to take a big emotional awareness and facing up to this terror barrier to get to the other side. And it's up to us to make the change. But once we make that change, if I asked any of you right now that are watching, what's a big change you made in your life? You would probably tell me that you probably thought that change was impossible, that you couldn't do it, not going to happen, didn't say it was going to happen, but you probably look back today and you say, oh my God, I made the change and it was so much easier than I thought it was be. So as Tony Robbins says, change can happen in 1 split second. But remember, it is your choice. You can stay in the zone of complacency if you want, but remember, as we all say, and we have heard the saying, life begins outside of your comfort as well as your complacency zone. Always here to inspire you. Have a wonderful week and don't stay in the complacency zone.